Back with Bobby and JG Radio. If you're just tuning in, we spoke with Jose Orona about his company, Texas Nexus. It was an incredible interview. If you missed any of it, you don't have to cry. You go to bobbyandjjradio.com. You can be a fan of our show on Facebook, on Instagram, or, of course, at bobbyandjjradio.com. Our next guest is Jodi Penrod. She's a San Antonio native. She has extensive experience in building customer relationships as well as building and managing teams. She works with Texas Nexus Group. She's a licensed agent. She's a certified trainer. She's a recruiter. She's a team leader. Her standard of success has captured local and national attention, and she's been featured on national sales calls and training videos. Lives in San Antonio with her husband of 14 years, which is a really cool guy, by the way, that I know and play basketball with. Jodi, how are you doing today?
I'm doing awesome.
You look awesome.
Thank you.
I'm glad you're here today.
I'm glad to be here.
So let's talk about this supplemental insurance that Jose was gabbing about earlier.
Sure. Supplemental insurance. So prior to actually working in the insurance industry, I too was like the majority of the population and not real sure what supplemental insurance was and what it wasn't. Supplemental insurance is really unique, and having worked with Texas Nexus for the last few months, I've been able to help individuals, I've been able to help business owners offer products like this to their employees. And supplemental insurance is designed to protect policyholders, and it's designed to pay cash to the people who hold policies with that company.
So, Jodi, why does it make sense for small businesses and large businesses?
I believe that it makes sense for small businesses, large businesses, because, first of all, employees right now are looking at health benefits, right? Because that's what's going on. We know that we've got to make decisions on our health benefits or we're going to be penalized and all of that good stuff. So people are concerned about that. But supplemental benefits are very affordable.
Right.
And when people are looking at how they're going to protect their family, looking at medical coverage and stuff is expensive. So when we bring supplemental benefits to the table, it's almost like a sigh of relief because it's something that can help them in the interim. Especially like I deal with a lot of people who are in their first 90 days at a company because a lot of times they're not eligible for benefits. And for businesses that will go ahead and let me speak to those employees, it adds value to that business because that employee knows, hey, I am valuable and they do want me to have something to protect my family, even though I may not be eligible for full benefits here. So supplemental insurance can step in and kind of
bridge the gap.
Yeah, absolutely. Bridge the gap during that time while they're waiting.
It makes it really easy for business owners because it doesn't affect the payroll. It doesn't touch the payroll at all.
Right. They're not going to be required to sign a contract with us. There's no minimum number of employees to participate for enrollment to happen. So we can come in and speak with employees. I think for an employee to know that their employer is willing to offer this to them, honestly, as a person who's worked in corporate America, knowing that that's available, I think that really adds value to the business and to the people who work there. I mean, it endears them to them a little bit.
Absolutely. And so what about for the individual listeners right now, Bobby JG Radio? Why would it be important for them, let's say, if they already have some other stuff? What's so important to the individual consumer?
Well, if you would have asked me this question 2 years ago, I probably wouldn't have had a good answer for that.
Right.
But about almost 2 years ago, my husband, who has owned a construction company for years and years and years, was hanging sheetrock, something that he's done 1,000 times. He knows how to do it very well. And he was doing that alone in a home that was being worked on. The makeshift barricade gave way, and he fell from the second story of the house.
Matt's not tall enough to do it without him?
No, he's not. I know. He should be able to do it without a ladder, right?
Yeah.
But no, he did fall. He injured himself very severely. He was taken to University Hospital, spent a couple hours in surgery, 4 days in the hospital.
Wow.
So that injury resulted in 8 months of being out of work.
Wow.
And like I said, if you would have asked me 2 years ago about supplemental insurance, number one, I wouldn't be able to tell you anything about it, really. But I also wouldn't have been able to tell you how much of an impact it would have had on our family because I didn't know as an individual that it was available to me.
Right.
We've heard of companies like Aflac and Colonial and other things like that, but usually people are talking about those in relationship to the company they work with.
Right.
And I think most people believe that the only way you can benefit from supplemental insurance is if you work for a company that offers it.
Right.
But supplemental insurance is actually available to individuals. And Family Heritage and Texas Nexus, we get to work with individuals one-on-one, which I really appreciate because it could have saved us from a lot of heartache 2 years ago.
Absolutely.
So earlier you said that it covers, you've helped so many people keep their mortgages up to date. What else does it cover?
Supplemental insurance is designed to pay the policyholder for treatment and incidents as they happen. So we have accident policies, we have cancer policies, we have heart and stroke policies, and then we have hospitalization policies. All of these policies have a schedule of benefits that pay out to the policyholder. Let's say, for instance, someone is diagnosed with cancer. Then we have a benefit within our policy that pays that person for the initial diagnosis. Following that, we're also going to pay for their hospitalization stay per day. We're going to pay for radiation and chemotherapy treatment. We're going to pay for transportation. So if they want to travel from San Antonio to Houston because MD Anderson is one of the best places to get treatment, we are going to pay those things out to that person so that they can get good treatment and so that they can get the best treatment available. Those are some of the things.
If you're just joining us, we're speaking with Jodi Penrod, and she's breaking down everything supplemental insurance. So how does it work? I like that Jose had full disclosure earlier, but how does it really work?
Okay, so depending on how I connect with you, but let's say I'm dealing with you as an individual and you have a family, and I share with you what our products are, you are able to decide what policies suit you. A lot of times when I talk to people, I like to find out, do you have a history of cancer or heart disease in your family? Do you know anyone that's gone through it? Because in particular, people who have connected with other people, maybe family members or friends who have gone through it, they have seen up close and personal what it can do. So even having great medical benefits in place is usually not enough, because we know already that cancer is a very expensive disease and process to survive. Sure,
and just for full disclosure, myself, and I can't believe I'm saying this, but my dad's one out of 17 children, so I have a huge family on my father's side. And I don't really talk to any of them, but I am on Facebook for one sole reason, because I want to see what diseases they have. I know that sounds selfish, but I promise you, I connect to every single, I see my last name on there. I want to see what this dude has. But I do, because it's so important, I think, when you fill out these forms, you go to the doctor, and they every single time you go for anything, if it's optical or if it's, whatever.
Athlete's foot.
Or
mange.
Or mathlete's foot over there. Yeah. So they'll ask you, and then when I was younger, I was like, I don't know, nothing. I don't know. But then you start to ask your parents, and you start to ask your cousins, and you start to realize what you really do have and don't have. And I like that you guys customize each policy for every individual. So if they have a family history of it, then you add or just make it affordable depending on what they really need.
Right.
That's
and
incredible.
There's 3 levels of benefit that are paid out to our policyholders, so they really do get the opportunity to, and we do. I like to sit down with people and say, what does your budget look like? What is actually reasonable for your family? How can we help your family?
Sure.
And it's important to me when I'm talking to people that I'm also discussing, because they may have coverage in other ways, and I'll talk to women whose husbands work for a company and they have some kind of benefit, but it's not. They don't. A lot of times they're not even sure what they actually have.
Right.
And that's what I come across a lot is people there's a lack of education about supplemental insurance. There's a lack of education about life insurance. Yeah. And I get to talk to people about those things and tell them the differences and how it can help their family, or how it can, support what they've already got in place. And we really pride ourselves in Texas Nexus and Family Heritage on serving people at the place where their need is and not trying to do more than that.
Sure. And do you have any good stories about anyone that's signed up and you've already helped out?
I do. Back in August, I worked with a trucking company that's down in the Kennedy area. We know that oil has been booming for a while back in that place. And I worked with a small business that had about 40 drivers, and I got to talk to them individually. One gentleman, he actually is a single dad, and he ended up purchasing all of the policies that we offer at some level, whether it was standard or preferred or elite. He purchased something for himself and his kids. When we go through the process, people like us because it's so easy. It's an easy application process. The price is so reasonable, and it's in and out. It's very quick. So he did everything. Months went by. Back in January, he actually called me. I've had 2 different things with him. He called me one afternoon. He had gotten in a car accident just driving down his street.
Sure.
The lady backed out of her driveway, was not paying attention. So he had to go to the ER and have x-rays and things done. And we paid out a claim for him within a week of filing that claim. So he received money for that. And then about 3 weeks later, I got a call. And it's one of those calls that it's just, man, when you get the call, you're like, oh my goodness. He called me and he said, I just received a diagnosis from my doctor. I did my regular checkup this year, and I have prostate cancer.
Right.
And my stomach kind of dropped a little bit. That's one of those things. It's like, oh my gosh. But we've been able to work with him because he has a cancer policy in place. And so we are being able to pay him out from his cancer policy for his diagnosis, for the treatment that he's going to receive. He's going to have surgery. All of those things are covered in his policy.
Incredible.
And so we're working with him right now. And it's been a relief to him.
Sure.
And it kind of allowing him to be able to work through the process of healing and not be stressed about how am I going to keep the lights on, how am I going to pay my rent and, my car payment, all of that stuff.
Absolutely. Well, if we're going to take a quick break and hear from our show sponsor, we're going to be back with Jodi Penrod. If you want to get a hold of her, you can contact her at 210-823-1744. Again, that's 210-823-1744. Take your phone out and put it in your phone right now. Make sure you get a hold of her as soon as possible. She can get you a free analysis of everything you need. We'll be back with BobbyandJJRadio.com.